Welcome back to Waters Ironworks. Today we are going to be making a steak can holder, cup holder, whatever you want to call it, that you can take out while you're camping, put it into the ground, and have a portable cup holder. They work pretty well. Another very easy project to make. This is a variation of the project that we made last week from the Backyard Blacksmith by Lorelei Sims, where we made a tea light holder. Very similar construction to it. The only real trick is that we want to make sure that we come in and put the shelf. We're also going to make it out of a little bit heavier duty material. This is, I believe, 3/8 inch square stock. I'll put the exact length that we used for this. It's something like 40 inches or so in the comments. So take a look at that if you want to know exactly how much I used. It is pretty much up to you though, exactly how long you're going to make these. There's not a right or wrong answer, I guess, unless you either can't reach it or it's way too short and you have to bend down too much to grab it. But let's go ahead and make one of these. The steel is just about hot. I'm going to show you guys another trick, very similar to the one that we used last week when we were making the tea light holder. I've got my bottle of ginger beer here and what was once a bean can. It fits nicely in it, so I know this is about the right size. I can actually take this can, again, over the horn of my anvil, make a line on my anvil. Now I know how big this, the round part needs to be on this steak holder. The other nice thing about this can is I'm a lot more confident touching hot steel to this than I would be to something that's made out of glass or even well, certainly a full soda, but a thin aluminum can. I'd be worried about it just melting and deforming. But this is pretty sturdy. So let's grab our steel. I like making these kind of rugged, so I don't actually even bother going in with the taper on the end of it. I'm just going to leave it blunt and flat. Bring it out here. And all I'm doing is sliding it a little forward and hammering on it. And that's going to start bending it around. I can bring it over here, hammer it back towards myself a little bit. I think I'm going to take one more heat on this so that we can close this up. If you do have something like a cone mandrel, it can be a nice way of shaping it as well. The horn on your anvil is not actually a cone. It is not 100% round. Let me grab my cone mandrel and I'll show you what I'm talking about. You might need to squat down to capture this, Greg. But if you look, right, this has got kind of a belly on it. It is not a cone like this. So if you're looking for something that's perfectly circular, your anvil horn, especially back toward the body of it, may not get what you're looking for. That's where something like one of these cone mandrels can come in real handy. They do make these things that sit on the ground. They're like 4 or 5 feet tall. Man, I'd love to pick one of those up at some point. But this does a real good job for me. Close this up a little bit more. I'm going to come here, give it a couple blows so it's a little more centered. Round this up a little bit here. It's not looking too bad. Just want to adjust it so that lines up nicely. And this is looking, you know, relatively round. We could use maybe a little tweak. Right in there. That looks pretty good. We've got a bit of a flat spot, but you know, it'll work. The next step is going to be bending this over. We could certainly come here to the horn of the anvil and hammer it down. That'll work, but you won't get as sharp a bend or as easy a bend. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to heat this up, drop it into the vise, and then use this in order to bend it. All right. Grab this. My vise is still not secured as well as it should be. We just take it and we bend it over. This isn't something you ever want to do on a bench vise or a machinist vise, right? Those vices, hammering on it like this, all that is going straight into the screw. On these leg vices, a blacksmith's vise, you can see the way it's designed. Any blows here are going all the way down into this very secure, solid leg. None of it is going onto the screw. So important if you're going to do this, that you're using a real post vise, a blacksmith's vise, not a machinist vise. So we've got a nice bend there. Next step is to come in here and make another bend, you know, a couple inches further down. We're going to do the exact same process on it. So let's heat this up and we'll be right back at the vise. The big trick on this is really making sure that you don't make your bend too far. So do a pretty short bend here. Over, just hammer that. Nice and square. You can adjust it as well. Try and get it centered over your hoop. Getting a little bit deformed there, but that'll be okay. And actually, I think I'm going to take another heat on this. I'm trying to bend it, and the challenge that I've got is that this is cooled down from the vise, whereas this is still a little warmer, so it's wanting to bend here instead of twisting right there. So we'll fix that on the next heat. So we're trying to twist this right here. I'm going to come in and cool down that part a little bit. Over and into the vise. Go. The next thing we've got to do is come in and bend this back down. Again, it's going to be the same thing right back into the vise once we get it hot. Let's put the next bend. Come here to the vise. Clamp it back in. Little bit of corrective work here. Getting everything nicely squared up. That's looking pretty good. So rather than quench this, I am going to put a twist in it. So I'm going to leave it hot, go in, heat up a section here. We'll put a quick twist in it, quench off this end, put a point on the other end, and we'll be done. really kind of up to you how twisty you want it to be. I do like to try and make sure when I'm done that this is lined back up square with the pieces down there. I think it makes it look a little more professional. Bring it over to the anvil. Ideally, I'd be doing this on a wooden anvil with the wooden hammer. Just going to give it a couple light taps. Try and make sure it looks all nice and pretty straight. That looks pretty good. So we're done with the top here. Before I quench it though, I'm going to take our can, drop it down there, sits perfectly. Since this is bigger than a soda can, I know a soda can's going to fit in there just fine as well. Let's quench this off. We'll put a point on the other end and we're done. We're going to put a point on this, edge of the anvil as always for points. And again, I don't want to go too sharp on anything that's going to be shoved into the ground. I don't want it to bend if it hits a rock or anything like that. So nice blunt point here. That looks pretty good. Let me grab my bottle. We'll quench this in the earth. Perfect. This could be a little closed in, a little bit smaller, but if somebody wants to use it for a Yeti cup or something like that, having a little bigger might be nice. But that's as simple as this project is. Again, I'm fingers crossed it'll be a good seller at the knife show coming up. I'll let you guys know how it does. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments. I respond to everything that I respond to. I don't respond to the stuff that I don't respond to. But other than that, have a great day and happy forging. I'll see you again in a week.